shock as I'm falling off my dancing wire.
Hey, is this Butch Holcomb?
Rain's pouring down, but it won't take the heat. Spoons full of blues, so I can't take no more. Here comes another spoonful of blues that I ain't asking for. That I ain't asking for. Take another pill, but that pain, it won't leave me alone. Can't find a little piece of luck, nothing left wherever I roam. Lost my heart and my pride is about to wave a last goodbye. Spoonful of blues, no, I can't take no more. Here comes another spoonful of blues that I ain't asking for. That I ain't asking for. Here comes another spoonful of blues.
Hey, can you hear me? Check 1 2 1 2. Let's get the show going. It's too long of an intro. Checking that out. Check it out. Eject. Eject.
Well, how do you do, everybody? My name is Lance Goolsby. You're listening to the Global Detective Adventures podcast, and I'm sitting in the studios in Schweinfurt, Germany. Glad to have every single one of you watching us live. And everybody, my name is Lance Goolsby. You're listening to I've got a little bit of feedback going on. And I'm sitting in the studios. Hey, my name is Lance Goolsby. You're listening to every single one of you podcast, and it's not even come from a little bit of feedback going on. And I'm sitting in the studios. Hey, my name is somebody watching the video right now. Podcast, and it's not even come from a little bit of feedback going on. Okay. All right, so I'm going to cold start this. We'll get into this. This is just for anybody that's watching right now. Every single one of you that are watching this, you're watching the live recording of the podcast that comes out on iTunes, Google Play, and a couple other places, including Spreaker. So there are issues on this one. The good news is that the audio will be the best quality audio that you can get. It will be available on iTunes as of, it's going to be next Sunday when this comes out. So I don't want you to think that this is how the podcast is going to sound. You're watching the unedited, uncensored recording of the show. this is definitely not how it actually sounds. There are issues. Stuff always comes up. That's why
we
don't
suck,
make
but we don't
movies
suck
in a
that
single
bad, right?
take.
We don't suck that bad, right?
That's why they don't do movies in a single take. I'm just saying, you know. So,
hey, you know what? We're running
my name is
really
Lance
late. You know
Goolsby.
what? We're running really late here. So
Do I?
we're running super late here right now. Everybody was expecting us a half hour ago, but nothing we can do. Technical errors and possibilities of new equipment coming in. Who knows? But we gotta work with what we have. And
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm sitting in the Schweinfurt Blackadder Studios. My name's Lance Goolsby. I'm the founder of Global Detection Adventures. With me, as always, is my co-partner, my co-buddy, my best friend in the entire world, Dave DiNatale, sitting in Green Bay.
howdy, y'all. Yeah, it's
howdy,
y'all. Hot sticky one here in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and yeah, we're Cowboys out here in Green Bay. We're in the Midwest. We have a great show for you today. Lance, you want to get that call-in number real quick before we start?
Yeah, definitely. The call for anybody that wants to call us in, that's a U.S. area code. So the telephone number is area code 920-455-5118. If at any point you got any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to call in. As soon as we can, we'll definitely get you onto it as well. All right.
Well, also joining us today, besides you, Lance, and myself, Mr. Mike Counter. Mike, are you out there? Mike, are you out there?
I am here. How you doing, guys?
Oh, we're doing great, Mike.
Doing really
doing
good.
Great, Mike.
Had a little bit of issues getting the audio up and running at the beginning, at the top of the show when we were supposed to start. Unfortunately, don't know exactly what it was. I mean, nothing changed. We just had to bring you in this way. So we got you tied up in the basement somewhere.
Well, listen to this, guys. Dave touched on it a little earlier. It's going to be 90-plus degrees here in Green Bay. The hottest game ever to be played at Lambeau Field today.
Wow.
Yeah,
that is unbelievable. We have
really
mild temperatures here.
Yeah, well, it's kind of weird. It'll go back down to this next week, but it's a super hot day. I went out a little hot day. I went out a little bit for half hour this morning. I was really bored. I got up. I was really bored. I got up 5:30 in the morning. And I go outside and I just started detecting, and the grass was still wet, and it was kind of cool. Mosquitoes were still terrible. So I just gave it a half hour. I just went through to see if there was any signals on it. Mike, I went over to the schoolhouse. Didn't really dig much. I dug a couple targets. Just wanted to make sure there was stuff in there. The last time I invited we went there and we were nothing. So it was kind of embarrassing. So I went over there, and just to make sure there was some cool stuff there, and actually not even a half an hour, and hardly any of the grass at all. Picked off 3 weeks from the 40s. That cool late 1900s ring and that little token. But I think it's very promising. As soon as it cools off in a couple of weeks, Mike, we're going to hit that thing hard.
That ring you found seemed to be pretty nice, Dave.
Yeah, that was amazing. Like I said, I thought it was like pulled it out of the ground. Just the way it was all smashed.
Yeah.
And brought it home. And I was just like, what? Brought it home. And I was just like, what? It was a picture of a guy. Black and white. Big giant mustache. So. I was going to take it apart, but I just said, nah, I'm just going to leave it like it is, I'm sure if I take it apart, the picture's probably distorted anyways. What it's going to do is just ruin it, So. But anyway, Mike, we got some. That's going to be a great little permission that we'll have. And I will not be going back there until me and you go there again. That was the first time I checked it out. The neighbor comes out, he sees me digging. He's like, "What are you doing over there?" And when we were working on that house, The guy was a big jackass. So I yelled back at him, "What he looks like I'm doing? I'm metal detecting. And I got permission. Oh, okay.
What'd he say?
Okay. He just him and his wife just walked back into this car and was like put his tail between his legs. It's good for neighbors to watch out for neighbors, but shut the hell up. Nobody's body. Like the guy's gonna pull up and just start digging into somebody's lawn for. Anyway, yeah. So, but suffice to say, we got a good permission. But Lance, let's just go to a quick break. When we come back, we got our first guest with us, and this is Mike is brought in Frank Pergola, Low Pergola from Detect America. So let's just go to a really quick commercial break, and we'll come back and bring Frank on. He's been waiting for a while, so we'll get this going. We're going to talk about Mike. What are we talking about with Frank today?
We're going to talk about research, and how to find those virgin sites. That's what we're going to talk with Frank about.
Oh, super
cool,
super.
All right,
absolutely cool. All right, so we'll be back in just a moment. But first, I got to sit down with a very famous metal detector that everybody out there knows, and I got a little short interview with him. And so I'm gonna sit down. We're gonna play that interview, and then we'll go into the next song. The song that's gonna be coming up is going to be the Native Howl. That's a new band. It's a bluegrass band, and the song is going to be called "Doomed from the Start." But first, here comes my interview with a very special metal detector.
We got a very special guest today. You know him from the Digger Dawn video series on YouTube. Make sure you check her out, Digger Dawn on YouTube. But he's extremely popular as well. His name is Diggy the Dog, and he's coming on to talk with us today. Hey, thanks for coming on the show, Diggy. So how long have you been detecting now with Digger Dawn? Oh, so you're kind of new at it. What are some of the best finds you've found so far? And you ate it? Ah, just chewed it up good. No, I bet it doesn't taste as good as Don's shoes. Now, we've been following your adventures with Don for a while now on YouTube. What was your favorite adventure so far? But if you had gone down the rabbit hole, you might have been stuck down there. Yeah, she did have you on a leash. That's true. I see. So do you have any like super secrets about Dawn you can tell us? Oh, wow, that is a massive secret. Well, you guys heard it here first, right on the GDA radio podcast, straight from Diggy's mouth. Hey, thanks for coming on the show, Diggy. Best of luck out there in your next adventures. All right, let's get back to the show.
Exclusive hot new mix.
Yeehaw! Come on, boys. Hey, park here. Park there. We're all doomed from the start. Could be a gunshot or attack of mob. The nuclear reaction could pave the way. Before the day you're hell will meet you hard and bring you right back to the start. We're all doomed, so for another great highway. Well, it must have been about a year ago. I heard the sound on the radio over there. And it made me crawl out of my skin. In the world, these boys know nothing about right from wrong. They can make it sound good in a song. They don't know nothing about living in sin. I guess, right? We're all doomed from the start to be a gunshot or attack of bomb. The nuclear reaction that paves the way. For the day your head will reach your heart and bring you right back to the start. We're all doomed. So pour another drink my way. Lord, let me tell you, we made it to Virginia. Just shy of a ghost, we were dodging tornadoes on the way to the coast with the love of a sinner. The maker one near my breath. Oh, no, so the sky went blind. The rain came down, lightning crashed. The booming sound and the wind came swirling. It picked me up and threw me down. We're all doomed from the start to be a gunshot or attack of bomb. Nuclear reaction to take away. For the day your head will reach your heart and bring you right back to the start. We're all doomed. So pour another drink my way. From the start to be a pork chop in a shopping cart. Reptilian political figures make a mean saute. So hit the lights and bar the door. End up in the aisle of your grocery store. We're all doomed. So pour another drink my way. We're all doomed from the start. To chop or a poison dart. So pick up some ammunition and stop by the news. Ain't a superstition or a passing mood. We're all doomed. So pour another drink my way. We're all doomed. So pour another drink my way.
Blackadder is advancing perfection with every new shovel. Didn't think it was possible? Then head over to the website and check out all the shovels made specifically for metal detecting. www.blackada.com. See their amazingly affordable shovels for yourself. A family-run UK business that takes perfection to a new level. Blackadder.
Well, everybody, we're back. You just got done listening to the Native Howl, a new band, exclusively first time played, right here on the GDA Radio Podcast. I want to go ahead and take the time to introduce somebody that just came in with us. We got D.A. Frank Lapergolo on the phone. Dave, and I want to make sure Dave and Mike are still around. Is everyone still here?
Still there.
All right. All right. As you notice, we only got one audio running right now. We were having some issues with we were having some issues on the audio that was coming through. There was some feedback coming. I'm hoping that we fix the issue right now. But coming on the phone right now, we got D.A. Frank Lapergolo. Frank, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Got you perfectly good.
I can hear you.
Good.
Frank, thanks very much for joining us. I know you live in the great state of New Jersey. You're the host of Detect America, heard every Friday night at 8:30 Eastern Time, 7:30 Central. Frank, welcome to the GDA podcast. Thanks for being with us.
No problem. Glad to be here, guys.
Okay, Frank, what we're going to do this morning with you is talk a little bit about research. You hear all the time, if you want to find the good stuff, you have to do your homework and try and find sites that have not been detected, those virgin sites. Frank, where does a metal detectorist begin researching? It can be overwhelming because there's plenty of information and technology available today. Where do you start?
Well, the biggest problem is, like you said, virgin sites. They are few and far between. So you have to look into the past. We start the old-fashioned way, books. There's a million books in just about every state in the nation that are written about, your state's history. We start there, the wives' tales, the legends, take down whatever kind of landmarks that we can assess from reading the books, and then we hit the historic aerials. We're lucky. We have access to some historical groups out of Philly, so occasionally we'll actually get some handwritten letters from Revolutionary War, from Civil War, whatever. And then it's literally hours and hours looking at overlays, LiDAR maps, and then then taking your shots in the woods where you think they are until you come across it.
Location, location, location means research, research, research. Frank, can you share with us a couple of quick stories, success stories based off your research?
Well, the most recent. In our area, there is an old tavern. We refer to it as the White Pines Tavern. That's not the real name, just simply because it's ongoing and we're trying to keep people out of the site. This was a headquarters for Benedict Arnold. He was in charge of getting any ships that came into our ports under the British flag. The Revolutionary War, the American troops would seize everything that was on that ship, and they would sell it at auction to support the army. So we had been hunting for years. We knew this tavern existed. No one knew where it was. And so what we did, we got letters. There's a group out of Philadelphia which was gracious enough to give us a couple letters where soldiers had referred to this site and had luckily given us a couple of minor details about it. And then started pulling. Rutgers University has some great old maps. Started pulling the maps. Started taking the picture we had in our head and trying to overlay that with what these letters had said. And then from there, we actually went to some of the forums. The forums are good and they're bad. The forums, a lot of the guys were talking about this site. It's been talked about for 20 or 30 years. But unfortunately, the forums, you get one bad piece of information in the forums, and it kind of snowballs into a really big, bad story. But from that, we had taken a couple of tidbits of stuff that kind of coincided with what we had. So after about 2 years of research, we narrowed it down to a plot that we firmly believed this White Pines Tavern was on, scored the permission, and we put the video out last spring, end of the winter, and we nailed it. We pulled something like 50 some odd reals out of there so far, 100.
Wow.
Everything from Longies to King George's to all kinds of artifacts, and we're still going.
Hey, Frank, this is Dave. Listen, when you're looking at these maps, are they these handwritten maps? Because, most of them look like just black and white, somebody written. What kind of maps are you actually looking at? And you getting these from the library, or where are you getting these maps from? Because I've seen a lot of maps. They almost look like cartoons. You're just kind of sketches and stuff like that. How do you figure out what's a good map to look at?
Basically is you've got to take an average. You take every one you can get. And what we've learned, especially with this last project, was these maps are inaccurate. Many of them are handwritten and they've been transcribed 50 times, and a lot of these maps that you see out there that look like really good archival maps were actually transcribed from a handwritten map that the guy never saw the piece of property, never saw the lay of the land. So you've got to take everything with a grain of salt. You've got to realize that half of these older maps are not accurate. And the one that we used ultimately was probably inaccurate to the tune of about 2.5 miles.
Oh wow!
But we knew what the landmarks were, and we kind of had to line it up with what we believed at the time was the landmarks they were talking about in the letters and the handwritten maps. They're handwritten annotations. They're huge. I'll give you an example. There was an annotation on this one handwritten map that said Pine Knot, and we for the longest time thought it was a city or a town, an old village. So that threw us off for a long time until we got some of the older areas. And an old timer told me, no, there's a pine knot, because if you got a woods full of maple trees, a pine knot is this one small group of pine trees. You just stick out like a sore thumb. And sure enough, it did. And that was pretty much the key to us locking down the location.
Oh wow!
Every bit of information there, you kind of got to take an aggregate of it and take an average, and then it comes down to taking your shots and getting your permissions and probing and prodding until you come across the right spot.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm glad over here in Germany it's not that much better, but from the 1800s, the maps that I found for some of my permissions, they're almost dead on accurate, but nothing as bad as what you're referring to. We might be talking about 100 feet.
The maps that have been generated from Civil War on, even a little bit before that, they're perfect. But we're looking at, like, we'll have maps that will come up in some of the archives from Rutgers and stuff that are, they're 1725 maps, but they're 3 generations old, and they were hand transcribed from a written version of somebody's account of the lay of the land. So they're not going to be accurate. The ones generated originally in the 1800s, yeah, they're pretty much dead on. It's the older ones that we have the problems with.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Frank, what advice would you give someone who's just starting out in the hobby but wants to jump right into the research because they're technically savvy, they understand Google, the maps, all that kind of thing, and they want to hit those virgin sites? Someone new to the hobby, jumping into research, what advice would you give them?
Get subscriptions to the Library of Congress maps. There's free ones available. There's a very inexpensive membership which opens the doors to a lot of old maps and pictures and drawings. There's a nomenclature of some of the known old buildings that are long time gone. They'll actually give you details of every piece of hardware on the doors, the windows. That's one. That's a big time good tool to have in your toolbox. For example, in Jersey, we use Rutgers. Rutgers has an incredible map section that they are digitizing every day. They're free on the internet. There's many colleges around the United States that are doing the same thing. These are and big deal for us was making friends with historical groups. There's one out of Philadelphia. It's the National Heritage Club. I'm sorry, I don't have the name handy, but they have through donations and stuff, they have acquired a pile of handwritten letters that go back to the 1600s straight through to the Revolutionary War. Make friends with these groups. They may not let you check them out and take them home, but they will. These guys were actually good enough to transcribe them, give us transcriptions of these letters, which were huge. Anything historical that you could put your nose into, books that we have books that were basically deemed jokes that were written in the 60s. They have no real archaeological value. Bull. These things, even the wives' tales are going to give you clues, but you got to be willing to take everything with a grain of salt, look over the totality of the information you're getting, and draw conclusions. And then the final, probably the most important thing I can tell you is work on, hone, fine-tune your permission-getting skills.
Yeah.
Very good, Frank. That's just super advice. Really appreciate it. Hey, thanks for taking the time this morning to join us. We really appreciate it. Again, Frank Lopergola from Detect America every Friday night, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central Time on live stream. Check out his show. Frank, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Frank.
Thanks,
take
Frank.
it easy.
Wow, some great advice, Frank.
Fantastic.
The guy has just a plethora of information. It's got a great show. If you guys haven't listened to it yet, like I said, every Friday night, 8:30. Detect America, the podcast. They also have their Facebook group page, Detect America. Bunch of great guys get together every Friday night, and they just tell it like it is.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
One thing nice too about his site and Detect America on live stream is that they send you out on midweek. They send you out what they're going to be talking about during that particular show coming up on Friday night, and they hit on a number of different topics. So you know before the show even starts what they're going to discuss.
Plus, you got to go to the archives, and take a look and pick out a topic that you're interested in. You could download all their podcasts.
Yeah.
It's Packers Sunday. Dave's got a Bloody Berry next to him again.
I wish I did, man. I'm back in my office. Last week, 2 weeks ago, I was in my brother-in-law's place because I didn't have any internet. For some reason, I went down. Man, he spoiled me. But no, I'm dry as sawdust right now. I'll tell you right now, I could use one.
Yeah, me too. I'm drinking cherry flavored water today, so we're all good. That's why everything's running smooth. So, wow.
All right, well, let's take a little break here. You're listening to the Global Detection Adventure Podcast with Lance, Mike, and Dave. And we're going to get right back to you after these words, another little tune for you. And when we come back, hopefully she'll be ready to go. We're going to talk to XP Sonya. She's the XP Deus insider, and we're going to talk a little bit about the XP Deus. And just to remind you, in a couple weeks from now, we're going to have Ed Hoffman on. He's with TreasureMountainDetectors.com. He's going to talk about the latest detectors that have come out. Everybody's seen the new Mind Lab that's coming out. We could talk about the AT Max, and he's a distributor of all the brands, and we'll be talking to him in a few weeks. And in the next podcast, we'll have Gary from XP. He is the media. Mike, you know something about this, but you're in media, right? What do you call yourself?
Well, I'm director of media relations, but I would imagine he's their communication specialist there.
There you go.
Yeah, I think that's what it is exactly. I think he's a communication specialist in the English-speaking region. But they also have one for the United States as well. So I guess it's just for UK English.
Public relations.
Anyways, we'll be right back after this, and we'll be talking to XP Sonya.
All right.
Global Detection Adventures, the podcast.
I am a tool. I am a voice generated from a computer that will break soon. Black Ada shovels are not tools. They are weapons. And the ground is scared of them. Unlike me, they will be around for a long time to come. They are perfectly built. Really unlike me. Perfection. On a new level. www.black88.com.
Always spitting that explosive fire.
Sunshine must have been the river flowing by on that summer day. Ooh, it must have been the cool breeze. It must have been the shady trees. There must have been 100 reasons why I should have stayed. Ooh, and I'm feeling better out here under the weather, yeah. Under the weather, baby. Whoa. Go on, cut yourself a cane roll. Drop a line in the water hole. If they ain't fighting, baby, that's okay. Hey, come on out and unwind. We're gonna have ourselves a good time, yeah. yeah. We ain't headed home for a few more days. Not feeling better out here under the weather, yeah. Under the weather, baby. Whoa. Oh, it must have been the moonlight. Yeah, it must have been the fireflies. There must have been 100 reasons why I should have stayed and take a seat on the riverbank. Go on, get yourself a cold drink. Just be yourself, 'cause out here that's okay. Ooh, not feeling better out here under the weather, yeah. Must have been the sunshine. Must have been the river flowing by on that summer day. Oh, it must have been the cool breeze. Must have been the shady trees. There must have been 100 reasons why I should have stayed. Ooh, not feeling better out here under the weather. Under the weather, baby. Whoa, I'm feeling so much better, child. Whoa, whoa, yeah. I'm feeling so much better. Under the weather, yeah. Under the weather, under the weather, under the weather, baby. Whoa, whoa, yeah. Not feeling better out here under the weather.
All right, we're back. You're listening to the Global Detection Adventure podcast. Lance, Mike, and Dave. And now we are joined by a Indiana native, and she goes by the name of XP Sonya. Sonya, are you there?
I am here.
Finally.
Great, beautiful. Sonya, you are our XP insider on the Global Detection Adventure podcast, and we want to just kind of ask you a few questions for basically for people that are really interested in purchasing this machine. We're gonna do basically all the machines in the next couple episodes. We're gonna start off with you, and we're gonna talk about the XP Deus. Now, you've been swinging the XP for about what, a year or two?
Just coming up on a year.
Coming up on a year. Now let's talk about the first time. So you get the box and purchased it, and you get the detector. You open it up, put it together. What do you do first? Did you watch videos ahead of time, or did you just turn it on and just to see what happens? What was your initial input?
I watched some videos ahead of time. I watched a lot of Gary's videos. Those are really, really informative. So I watched a lot of those before I got it, and I just opened it up and took off, and I love that machine. That's the truth. I do. I absolutely love it.
Well, yeah, I'm with you there. But initially, when I first started using it, so it was pretty pretty frustrating. I even tended to go back to my old machine because I just couldn't wrap my head around it, the different tones and the changes that were involved to learn when you're using a machine for 3 or 4 years before that. So now you're hunting for the first time with the Deus. Just say you're out for about, what, half an hour. What's your initial thoughts? I mean, were you confused? Were you a little bit disappointed and thinking, well, maybe this is not as good as everybody says? Or right off the bat, you just were psyched?
Well, I mean, I knew the tones were going to be totally different. So I knew when I went out that was going to be my biggest obstacle with it. But I think a lot of people just try to learn everything about it in the very beginning. And I was told specifically not to do that. I was given a program, just go out, and for the first probably 2 months, that's the only program I ran. And I ran it just like it was set up, just to be able to get used to the tones and, you know, all that stuff, everything that was different about it. And
okay, because
I honestly
do
think
notice
that really helped.
I'm sorry. I do notice with the different programs, they're all set up with different tones. You just can't go from program to program and thinking you're going to have the same tones, because you can have 2-tone, 3-tone, 4-tone, full tone, you know, pitch. So there's a lot of different ways to set up your tones. Now, what stock program did you start with when we started detecting with the XP?
I started with the hot program, and I still use it. You know, I mean, I tweak it whenever I go out, but I still use it a lot.
What kind of tweaks do you have to do to the hot program? Because basically that is probably one of the program that a lot of people use. What type of tweaks do you do to it to adjust it in the field?
Well, depending on my side, I'll change the reactivity, you know, change the frequency sometimes. I bump my audio up. I always run my audio on 4, you know, just so I can make sure I can hear the deeper tones and everything. So it just, you know, depends on the site, but I guess really mostly reactivity and sometimes the frequency.
Hey, Sonya, this is Mike. Quick question for you. What did you use before the XP, and why did you make the switch?
I started out with it, AT Pro, and I used it for, I think, a year. I've been detecting almost 2 years now. So I started with the AT Pro, and I just wanted a little bit more. I was going out with guys with the Deus, and they were out hunting me. I mean, that's just all there was to it. So I wanted to jump on the bandwagon. I wanted to see what it was all about, and you know, I'm extremely happy that I did.
Well, Mike is interested in maybe changing over or just getting a second machine. What advice would you give to a first-time user or a first-time purchaser of the XP Deus?
I would suggest, like I did, just find you a program. You know, I like the hot program. Stick with it. Just stick with it. Don't, you know, try to change it a whole lot. Don't try to learn every single thing it does in that first month. Just go out and get used to the machine and have fun.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those things. The machine is really frustrating at first. I just don't even know how you could just take it out of the box, put on a program, and just go out and use it. I was tearing my hair out. I mean, if you look at the back of my head, it's completely bald. But
well, you wear a wig, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the whole thing just slides up and down. Sorry, but it was one of those ones. It's really a machine that you have to learn. But Gary told me one of the greatest things that anyone told me to this day, and obviously coming from Gary from XP, it was the right thing to say. He said, learn the machine on full tones. Learn what each one of those tones mean. And once you get used to those tones, you'll be able to differentiate between even the smallest amount of differences in the tones. And I thank him every single day that I go out with that machine for that. I still use full tones to this day.
Oh, I do.
Mike, you have a follow-up question before we let Sonya go?
Well, I just wanted to ask Sonya a little bit maybe about permissions. Do you do a lot of permissions when you take out your XP?
A lot of what?
permissions? Do you knock on doors and try to get permission sites?
Oh yeah. I'm always trying to get new permissions. So I don't do a lot of hunting at still standing homes. I'm mostly just out in the field where, the homes used to set, and I think my earliest map's the 1866. So I try to go by that map.
So it's pretty
What's
easy
your
to
best
get
find so far with the XP?
on farmlands, right?
What's that?
Is it pretty easy to get permission on farmlands?
It really is, because all the farmers know each other. And so once you get that first permission from a farmer, you can always bring their name up to the next farmer, and they're all buddies. So yeah, it really is. I got one of my first big permissions was a corporation that has over 13,000 acres. And so that set me up for last year. I mean, I had, 80 some home sites, I think. So
well, you keep some of those, because me and Mike are coming to see you probably in October sometime.
I
know.
Mike?
Yeah, I hear you. I'd love to go to Indiana.
All right, because
oh yeah. Yeah,
we're about in Bloomington. Where in Indiana are you?
I am near Huntington. So I'm about half an hour from Fort Wayne.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so let's see. Is that the central part of the state?
North Central.
North Central, okay. We're only about 6-7 hours away from you. Not a bad drive.
Yeah, that's not too far away.
All right, listen, Sonya, Mike, you have any more questions before?
Actually, I think I have somebody here who has a question for her.
Yeah, Sonya, we're going to want to keep you on the show for a bit. We have somebody else that's coming in, and we're going to do a little bit of a roundtable here. So we're going to keep you on, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Super.
Just don't be too excited.
She doesn't like surprises.
Whatever. Okay.
All right. So we're going to be back in just a second. Our surprise guest, if you be quiet on the line, we'll be back in about 3 minutes, and we'll be talking with Sonya just a little bit more. All right. We'll be back in just a sec.
Heavy metal at its best. The GTA Podcast Radio, always detecting heavy metal.
Late night rooms, don't dare to speak and tell me how you feel. Keep tracking back as to when we were so close. No more snapshots, just cool reminders of what will never be. Cause what we used to be got old and made a joke. Tell me that I'm never going to go. When you flash together if our hearts don't lie, why we barely clinging on? I don't want to see you go. Girl, I'm sick of forever and our change of minds. It's been dragging out for long. We'll both chill when our love is gone. On these tools I've used throughout this godforsaken year, bending things that are far beyond control. Your close connection is your firm connection and your vanity. Girl, 'cause honestly, I know you're more than good. Roasted on your pedestal, girl. We're useless together if our hearts don't lie. Why we barely clinging on? I don't want to see you go. Girl, I'm sick of forever and our change of minds. It's been dragging out for long. will both share when our love is finally gone. We both run out of sympathy. I'll compromise with you. The flame is calling, quits, let's pack our bags and see this through. Now get back on your pedestal, girl. Now we're useless together, and if our hearts don't lie, why we barely clinging on? I don't wanna see you go. Girl, I'm sick of forever, and I'll change our minds. It's been dragging out for long, and I will both share when our love is finally gone.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. My name is Lance Goolsby. I'm joined with Mike, and we also got Dave with us over there. I hear something moving around. Sonya, you still around?
I am still here.
All right. Well, Sonya, I have somebody that's on the line who wants to give you a shout. I know you're not really too much of a person who enjoys surprises, but I think you're going to like this one. So if our guest would come in and say hi, feel free.
Hello, Sonya. How are you?
Hey, girl, I'm fine.
Good. I've just been listening in. You've been doing awesome.
Thank you.
No problem. Sonya, you guys, you have to understand, she is one of the girls who truly rock metal detecting. She is an amazing relic hunter, and we actually featured her as one of our Rock and Diggers of the Month on Girls Rock Metal Detecting. We love her so much. So
thank you.
For those who are just joining us, you're listening to the voice of Siren Kimmy Price of Girls Rock Metal Detecting.
That's me.
And do you have wine with you today?
I'm sorry?
Do you have some wine with you today?
I don't. I'm actually out in the woods. I found that trying to carry a glass of wine around in the woods, bugs get in it. It just doesn't work. So I'm out in the woods digging today. I'm still pounding out this location that I found an amazing, amazing relic in. That's in my upcoming video, which I promise will be out this week. It has to be because there's a special announcement in that. But I am pounding this property because nothing has come up out of it in probably about 10 digs, except for this one amazing item. So I'm out here, and I'm hardly getting a single signal out here out in the woods, but it's peaceful, so I'm doing all right.
Yeah, that's what counts. That's what counts. I love just going out, even if I don't find anything.
Yep, it clears my head.
Yeah.
Kimmy and Sonya, I'll both ask you this question. More and more women are getting into metal detecting. That's great to see.
Yes, it is. It is. I think a lot of times I'm coming to find that there are a lot of us out there, but a lot of them lay kind of low. You know, I know me, it's, you know, everybody laughs when I tell them that I'm an introvert and I don't like being out in the public eye, but it's true. This hobby and being in social media and what I do with Girls Rock Metal Detecting has really forced me to come out of my shell. And it's amazing, though. I think there are a lot of women like that, I mean, if you ask Sonya, I bet you anybody, she's going to tell you she is not real super comfortable being on the phone or on a radio show. And so
you know me well.
It is a common, kind of a common bond with us. I think maybe even a lot of the girls of metal detecting, you know, we're kind of laid back chicks, and that has a lot to do with it, that kind of sitting back and doing our thing. And so it's cool. I mean, I hope to see a lot more people challenging themselves and coming out of their shell. And metal detecting is an amazing way to do it. Like I said, when you couple it with social media and just the people that you meet along the way, it's incredible.
Yeah, definitely is. Really, really is. It's it's one of the things that I love about the hobby, and starting GDA has really brought a lot of people into my vision that I really, really respect. And Siren, you're one of them. Sonya, you're definitely one of the other ones. Dave,
well, that's mutual.
Dave and Mike
definitely mutual.
Dave and Mike are obviously on the show because I really, truly respect both of them. And there are so many more. There are so many that I can't even name. There's that many out there. And it's all because of everybody that comes and listens and watches the show and watches my videos, watching Siren's videos and everybody else. This is just a great hobby, and I love sharing it.
Well, I have another way that I'm going to share it because I have a special announcement, if you'll allow me.
Yeah, absolutely. Please take the stage.
I coupled with, I don't know if you know the 1800s and Relics Club, the official 1800s Relics Club on Facebook. But I have teamed up with that Facebook group, and we are together giving away a free Fisher F22 metal detector.
Holy cow!
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so we're gonna give this away, and hopefully, I'm hoping it's gonna go. I hope the people that enter the contest are people that really truly need the machine. And I'm hoping that we will bring another new person into metal detecting who maybe couldn't afford it before. So this coming week, I'm going to put my video out, and it's going to have information on how to enter the contest, and so a lot more information. But I just wanted to give a heads up that yes, we are giving away a free Fisher F22, and that is an all-weather machine. So you can go out in the rain. It's not submersible. Is that a word? You can't submerge it. So, but it is weatherproof.
Yeah, that's
so
fantastic.
I'm kind of excited to do this.
Yeah,
is this one of their new machines, or is this?
I think it is. I don't know that much about Fisher. I'm just starting to learn, and unfortunately, Thrills in the Dig, he's out in the woods out here somewhere. He's my Fisher guy, and he could probably answer that question for you. But I want to say that when I was looking up more information about the machine on their website, they were showing the Fisher F22 as the new machine. So I think it's like maybe I said they're kind of comparing it to the Garrett. Is it the 250 or maybe the 350? So a good entry level machine.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that sounds very exciting. Very exciting.
And anybody who wants to find out exactly what they have to do to win it, they just need to subscribe to you on YouTube and wait for your next video to drop, hopefully this week, and all the instructions will be right on there.
Yes, thank you, because I'm horrible at pimping out my own stuff, and I should have said that. But yes, if you go over to YouTube and if you subscribe, and isn't there like a little thing on YouTube where you can get alerts? That would probably be a good idea, because as soon as this comes out, it's going to have information on how to enter the contest, and hopefully we will be able to get this new detector into the hands of somebody who really wants to get out there and start finding some cool stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So make sure you get over to YouTube and search for Girls Rock Metal Detecting.
Now, the group that you're working with, what was their name of the group again?
That is the official 1800s and Relics Club.
Where are they out of? Do they have a base
on Facebook?
Somewhere?
On Facebook. That is Thrills in the Digs Club. If you know, if you hear me, he digs with me a lot. If you ever hear me talk about Thrills in the Dig, he's always in my videos. That's Gerald Johnson on Facebook.
So they're based out of
Thrills
the
in the Dig
Carolinas
on YouTube.
well. They're based out of the Carolinas as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so he's a Fisher guy. So if he's a Fisher guy,
yeah,
and he wants to come in anytime to talk about the Fisher machines, we would love to have him on.
Absolutely.
So you can pass that on to him.
I will see if I can find him. He's out here in the woods somewhere. All right, I'll see if I can find him.
Let me ask this question to you, Kimmy, and Sonya, if you're there too, I'd like to hear your response to this. There's so many hobbies out there, so many different things to do. Why metal detecting?
Metal detecting is just, it's so relaxing. I mean, there's just nothing better than being out in the sunshine, or even, the cooler weather, and it's you find history. There's just nothing better. I absolutely love it. I think everybody, if they really enjoy the outdoors and would get out and try it, I honestly think that they would enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely. For me, I know most everybody knows that I suffer from PTSD, and for me, it was a matter of getting out. It really gives me a great clarity in my head, just like Kimmy was saying earlier. It really helps me with any kind of stress and anything else. So that's why I do it.
Yeah,
I got to tell you, I get bored. It's like if I'm not out metal detecting, it's like I should be out metal detecting, and I'm like, if there was no metal detecting, it's like I wouldn't know what to do with myself. I'd be like, all right, because I look forward to it every weekend.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Somebody posted on Facebook, if you were not metal detecting, what other hobby would you be doing? And I said, bite your bloody tongue. There's nothing else I'd rather be doing. Just with the history and everything else that goes along with the hobby, it's perfect.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah.
Did you find your friend?
I'm still searching.
Yeah, he's probably.
I don't know if you can hear me traipsing through the woods. I'm literally running around in the woods right now.
We might just have to bring him back in a later show. I definitely want to talk to him about the Fisher. So.
Well, he can give us a call. We can get him on the next show. Kimmy, before we let you go.
The Fisher, the Fisher F03 SE. Is that the right name of the machine? I don't know my Fishers clearly.
I definitely don't.
Well, evidently we don't either.
Yeah, he runs the Fisher F03 SE. He loves that machine. So, yeah, we'll probably have to get up with him another time because I've lost him completely.
Right.
And we are in a vast woods and an old original 1800s road. So.
Yeah. All right. Sounds great. Well, thanks for joining us, Kimmy. Before we let you go,
no problem.
Why don't you plug your YouTube channel and let us know where they can find you again?
Girls Rock Metal Detecting, and also on Facebook, Girls Rock Metal Detecting.
All right. Well,
all right. Thanks for joining us, Kimmy.
You go out and
take care, you guys.
We'll talk to you later. Thank you. And Sonya, before we let you go, where can they find you and all your information, videos, and pictures and of your adventures?
Well, I haven't did any videos yet, but that is coming. Right now they can find me on Facebook under XP Sonya, and that's where I post all my finds and all that good stuff.
All right, beautiful.
Fantastic.
All right, Sonya, well, I'd like to thank you, and we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks. We're going to get a little bit more in depth when we come back. We'll talk about the XP Insider. Sonya Harshman with the XP Deus Insider. And you can see her on XP Sonya on Facebook.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, guys, for having me.
Thank you for coming on, Sonya.
All right. We just got one more segment left. We got the news coming up, but we're going to take a little break. And when we come back, we'll listen to Luke and Laura of General Hospital. No, I'm sorry. Where are they from again? Luke and Laura?
Luke and Laura from UK, from the UK Dirt Fishing.
Do you remember that show, this General Hospital?
Yeah, I remember that show.
Remember the wedding?
It was on. It was the big couple, Luke and Laura. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Big wedding. Big wedding.
I didn't even catch the connection until you just mentioned it. Oh man.
All right. Well, let's take a little break. You're listening to the Global Detection Adventure Podcast with Lance, Mike, and Dave, and we'll be right back after these words.
Helping hundreds of people annoy their families while driving in a car. This is the GDA Radio Podcast.
Hey Lance, hey Dave, Luke here from the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine with your news update for the GDA podcast. Great news for metal detecting fans as the Diggers, KG and Ringy finally return back to our TV screens with a brand new series, Digging with KG and Ringy. It premieres on the 25th of September and will air exclusively on the Pursuit channel. Information including TV scheduling and how to watch the TV series if your cable operator does not provide the Pursuit channel is available on the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine. And I'm really looking forward to seeing these two goofy guys back out in the field hunting. And Minelab unveiled their new machine, the Minelab Equinox, at the UK's Detectable metal detecting event. It was debuted in exciting fashion. It was dropped with a parachutist from a plane out onto some of the fields that are available to detect at Detectable. It was a prototype. Minelab describes the machine as designed for the serious coin and treasure hunting enthusiast looking to upgrade to a high-performance detector without the high cost. They describe the machine as also being suitable for the new detectorist as it has several preset modes for different detecting locations. So it'd be very interesting to find out what the actual price point is on the Minelab Equinox, and if Minelab can start to get back, I guess, some of the hobbyist element of metal detecting sales, which I think they've probably lost quite a lot of that to XP Deus over recent years. So they really need something significant, something that's value for money, and something that is probably lighter than a lot of Minelab's offerings. So going to be really interesting to keep an eye on that and find out as much as we can about the Minelab Equinox. And it's been an incredible season here in the UK for hoards. Another hoard of silver medieval coins was found by a caretaker in a school playground. We can't name the school because it was found in a very, very small village. But the hoard consisted of 128 silver coins that were forged during the 15th and 16th centuries, and together they're worth nearly £11,000. So that, I think, is about 15,000 US dollars. There's lots of theories as to why the coins were buried in the playground. The presence of a large medieval castle just up the hill is a real probability that perhaps the castle came under siege, so the coins were buried to stop them being stolen. The British Museum didn't opt to purchase the silver currency, so the primary school caretaker and the landowner have agreed to split the treasure 50-50. And another hoard was found in Cumbria, England, a Bronze Age hoard, which comprised of a bracelet and 3 lock rings, all of which were made of gold, as well as a fragment of copper alloy. The hoard was found by 2 metal detectorists tucked into a small hollow in the limestone bedrocks and covered over with a large stone. 2 of the lock rings and bracelet are stained with an organic residue, possibly from something in the soil or something that was placed with it or around the objects at the time they were buried. The copper alloy fragment appears to be part of a bangle or strap, while the bracelet shares characteristics with one found in Beachy Head in East Sussex that is now held by the British Museum. The purpose of the lock rings is much debated. They're normally found in pairs, and it has been suggested that they may have been a form of high status personal ornament particular to the late Bronze Age, so possibly earrings or some other kind of hair decoration. And we look at lots of other interesting stories from around the world of archaeology and metal detecting. In the last week or so, we've had a story about a metal detectorist that saved the day after a proposal gone wrong, and found a £3,000 ring that had been dropped in a river. There's actually video footage of that. It was on the American TV show, I think it's called Jimmy Kimmel. We have a story that looks at a German neighbourhood that was evacuated as a collection of World War II hand grenades exploded in the summer heat. A story regarding archaeologists who unearthed remains of a 6,000-year-old home in the UK. And we continue our series of amazing metal detecting finds. This week looking at the Cambridgeshire Bronze Age gold torque. And there's a wealth of other stories and information available to read on the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine. To find us, it's archmdmag.com. That's archmdmag.com. Cheers, Lance. Cheers, Dave. Have a good show, guys.
Welcome back to Global Detector Adventures. I'm Mike Counter along with Lance and Dave. And guys, we really had a great show today. I mean, Sonya, Kimmy were excellent. Frank was great with research advice. A lot of great information for metal detectors today. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, great show. Loved it. Little bit of a hardship right at the beginning, but you know what? It wouldn't be GDA if I didn't mess something up.
Yeah, I think it's a super show with a great cast of characters came on today. I appreciate Frank. Thanks for coming on, and Kimmy and Sonya. Great talking to you. And Mike, it was good talking to you, and Lance. So I'll let you guys wrap it up. I have to get ready for a big party that I'm having. So we'll I have to get all the beer and alcohol ready. So,
man.
you know.
Hopefully it's a Packer celebration party.
Yeah, we'll definitely have the TV on. It's a big screen TV, and you know where I'm going, Mike.
Oh, I know where you're going.
Yeah,
all right.
We're gonna take this out. We're gonna go to TG Copperfield. He's gonna take us out with his song "Motorcycle Bandit." And for everybody that was listening, thank you so much for coming in. Everybody that was watching live, you guys rock. And we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Remember, this podcast will be available next Sunday to download from iTunes and Google Play. And for us at GDA, to every single one of you out on the fields, let's dig it up, y'all.
When I'm walking through the streets in my dirty boots, I'm watching people passing by in tailored suits. My other Jack has got a story to tell. I'm looking like I'm coming just straight out of hell. She's sitting next to me in a shady little bar, stranded in here with a broken down car. He had some drinks and a little kiss, but now I gotta tell her something I guess. She wants a motorcycle bandit, but I ain't even got money for the train. Motorcycle bandit, shame, shame, shame. She wants a motorcycle bandit, but I ain't even got money for the train. Motorcycle bandit, shame, shame, shame. Shame, shame, shame. Well, I guess I don't tell her 'cause she's looking so good. I'm gonna tell her what she wants like a good boy should. I'm a rock and roll star with a swimming pool. That lawyer woman thinks I'm just too cool. She dreams of 18, not the great escape, just a kiss away from the life she has. I know it ain't fair, but it makes her feel good. Tomorrow I'll be gone like a good boy should. She wants a motorcycle bandit, but I ain't even got money for the train. Motorcycle bandit, shame, shame, shame. She wants a motorcycle bandit, but I ain't even got money for the train. Motorcycle bandit, shame, shame, shame. Yeah! Woo! But I ain't even got money for the train. Motorcycle bandit, shame, shame, shame. She wants a motorcycle bandit, but I ain't even got money for the train. Motorcycle bandit, shame, shame, shame. Shame, shame, shame.